In lesson 5-7, we're going to be working on fractions of fractions. Go ahead and grab out your whiteboard. Today we're just working on extending your understanding of finding fractions of a whole number to find fractions of fractions. So on your whiteboard, would you please number 1 to 3? Would you please write the answer to what is 1/2 of 12? 1/2 of 15? And 1/2 of 40? Go ahead and write down your answers and pause the video as needed. So 1/2 of 12 is 6. 1/2 of 15 is 7.5, or you could say 15 halves. And then you would just find out how many. 14 with the remainder of 1. 1/2 of 40 is 20. All right, number 1, 2, and 3. Again, this time, remember, instead of talking about like 1/3 of, we're taking two groups, 2/3 of, 2/3 of. So be careful with that. Pause your video as you solve these 3 equations. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 groups of 4 gives me 8. 3 times 5 gives me 15. I have 2 groups of 5, so 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 20 gives me 60, and I have 2 groups of 20, so 2 times 20 is 40. What do we do when we have 1/2 of 3/4? Go ahead and wipe off your whiteboard. First thing, let's start with 3/4. So on your whiteboard, would you please draw a circle, divide it into 4 equal sections, and then just take your eraser and erase 1/4 of it. So here is 3/4. Now what we have to do is we have to divide each of those sections in half. So go ahead and take your whiteboard marker and we want half of that. So half would be 3 sections. The other half would be this many. So what do we have left, or what is 1/2 of 3/4? Well, I'm going to draw in, just remember, we need to know what is the whole. The whole is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. And we said 1/2 of 3/4 is 3 blue sections, 3/8. Again, wipe off your whiteboard. We're not quite into our math journal yet. So Larry has half of a fruit bar. He wants to give half of what he has to his brother. What part of the whole fruit bar will Larry give to his brother? So let's go ahead and let's draw that fruit bar. So draw this on your whiteboard. He only has half of the fruit bar. So go ahead and let's shade in half of that fruit bar. Now, he's going to give half of that half of the half to his brother. So let's take the half that he has and divide it in half. He's going to give this part to his brother. So, what part does he give to his brother? He gives 1/4 of it to his brother. Let's try another one. Erase your whiteboard. Ava has half of a veggie pizza. She eats 2/3 of the part of the pizza she has. How much of the whole pizza did she eat? Okay, so let's imagine it's a square pizza. It's easier to divide those in half. So she eats half of that pizza. So let's shade in half. So, right, we're trying to figure out what 2/3 of 1/2 is. Now, we're going to take this 2/3, okay, 2/3. So, the denominator tells us how many equal parts. So, 1, 2, 3, and she eats 2/3 of it. Now, in order to figure out what part has purple and red in it, I'm just going to imagine, remember, I have to have equal parts. So the equal parts would end up being 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. How many are shaded purple and red? 2, 6. So she ends up eating 2/6 of the pizza. Let's go ahead and move into our math journal. And you're going to start on page 174. Page 174. It says at the top, paper folding problems. So I think what we'll do is we'll just draw it. If you really would like to fold it, you are welcome to find yourself a piece of paper. It says, think of rectangles below as sheets of paper. Draw fold lines and shade to show how you found 1/3 of 1/2 and 2/3 of 1/2 while solving Ava's pizza problem. So let's go back to what's 1/3 of 1/2. So the first thing we have to do is find out what 1/2 is. So let's divide that into halves. Because in order to take a fraction of something, you better figure out what half is first. Now we're going to find, well, let's shade 1/2 first. Now we need to find 1/3 of that half. So now I'm going to divide it into 3 equal sections. 1, 2, and 3. But remember, I cannot have unequal portions. So I'm going to make that go all the way across. And she is 1/3 of that. So I'll shade that in. So how many equal parts is this paper folded into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my denominator is 6. How many have 2 different colors of pens shaded in it? 1, 6. Only 1 out of 6 parts. So what is 1/3 of 1/2? It ends up being 1/6. B, what is 2/3 of 1/2? So let's do the same thing. Divide it in half and shade half of it. That's our 1/2. So we're done with that part. Now we need to find 2/3. So we have to divide it now into thirds. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. I'm now going to shade 2/3 of what was originally shaded. 1/3, 2/3. So what is 2/3 of 1/2? Well, how many equal parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my denominator is 6. And how many squares or portions of the rectangle are shaded with yellow and purple? 2 of them. So 2/6. Let's continue on. Fold the paper to help you solve this number story. Carolyn had 1/3 liter of water. She drank 3/4 of the water. What part of the liter did she drink? Think. 3/4 of 1/3. So the first thing I have to do is figure out what 1/3 is. So I'm going to divide this into 3 equal parts. I want you to shade. So if you want to shade in 2 different colors, grab your markers, crayons, colored pencils. So she only drank 1/3 of the liter, and this whole box represents 1 full liter. Fold and shade paper to show 1/3. Done. Then fold and double shade it to show 1/4 of 1/3. So my denominator tells me I need to divide it into 4 more equal parts. So 1/4 of 1/3, I have to shade 1 out of those 4 equal parts that are shaded. So just 1 out of the 4 shaded. So my denominator tells me how many equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12s. And how many have two different colors shaded? 1 12. B says add double shading to your paper to show 3/4. So again, we're dividing into thirds. We're shading 1 out of 3. Then my next part is to take 3/4. So I have to divide this now into 4 equal parts. And it's asking me to shade 3 out of 4. 1, 2, 3. So again, my denominator is still 12. How many of them are shaded in 2 colors? 1, 2, 3. So in other words, 3/4 of 1/3 is 3/12. So what part of a liter of water did Carolyn drink? Well, she ended up drinking, remember, 3/4 of 1/3. So that would be 3/12. Problem number 3, solve problems 3 through 6 by folding paper. Then use the rectangle to show what you did. So 1/2 of 1/4. So I'm going to start by dividing it into 4 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, shading 1/4. Next, once I have that, then I can figure out what 1/2 of it is. So now divide it into 2 equal parts. My denominator says divide that now into 2 equal parts, and you want to shade in 1 out of those 2 shaded parts. So my denominator becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 becomes 8ths. How many have 2 different colors shaded? Just 1. So 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8. 4, 1/3 of 2/3. So I'm going to start with 2/3. I need to divide that. The denominator tells me into 3 equal parts and shade 2 out of 3. So shade 2 out of 3. Then you can go and find out what 1/3 is. This says divide this into thirds. Now shade 1 out of 3 equal sections. So this one is not shaded, so I don't touch that one. So what is 1/3 of 2/3? Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equal parts. So the denominator is 9, and 2 of them are shaded, so 2/9. 2/3 of 1/4. So the first thing we have to do is divide it into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, shade in 1/4. Now I can go back and look at what 2/3 is. So now I need to divide that into 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, and shade in 2 out of the 3 that are shaded. Only the shaded ones we're talking about. So, how many equal parts do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And how many of them are shaded in 2 colors? 2/12. I want you to try number 6 all by yourself. Pause your video and go ahead and try it. 5, 6 of 3/4. All right, yeah, we'll start with 3/4, so divide it into 4 equal sections. Shade in 3/4 of that. Remember, once you had it shaded, then you're not worrying about the unshaded part when you get to the other fraction. So now we're taking 5, 6. So now I have to divide into 6 equal parts because that's what my next fraction tells me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shading 5 out of those 6, but only the ones that have already been shaded. So 1 out of 6, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6. So what will my denominator be? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. My denominator always tells me how many equal sections. How many of them are shaded if you count with 2 colors? There should be 15. So 5/6 of 3/4 is 24. Do you see any shortened pattern at all? All right. That is it for today's lesson.